This Friday edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live, YouTube, and on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. We're here and we're live, and we're brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Do the math. 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. You get the picture. Go over to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use our promo code Sports Addict and get 10% off regular price and sales priced items. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Yeah, oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins, can't relax. Original, I am not the same as these.
And welcome to Pucks Across Borders on a Friday morning. Beautiful Friday here in Toronto. Not so beautiful on the west coast of my country. This is Pucks Across Borders. So good to be here. And gentlemen, before I introduce you, excuse me, before I introduce myself, before we move on with this recap / preview show, this could be our last preview show of the year. It's been a long road. We've been doing this every weekday, Monday to Friday, some weekends when it's called for, since October, and we have made it. This could be it. I hope not. I love doing it with you guys. I don't talk to my friends as much as I talk to you guys, so a part of me will be missing throughout the summer for sure. But yeah, this could be it. At the top of your screen, right next to me, you read his work on Give Me Sport. You read his gambling picks on Winners and Winers. Andre, I know we'll be doing a show once a week throughout the summer, and we'll be back in the fall, but this is a little bittersweet, bro. This could be it for the game previews.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I've started reading baseball quotes again. Cubs Cardinals, 20, Friday Wrigley Classic. Yankees play the Red Sox for the first time tonight. That brings me to Thomas Boswell, who said, an almost inexorable baseball law, a Red Sox ship with a single leap will always find a way to sink. No team is worshipped with such a perverse sense of fatality. I thought that was fitting to bring onto the show, especially that last line, because the Oilers are dead.
That sounds like some Hamlet, like some Shakespeare freaking like.
I think got pretty deep there.
Yeah, I gotta think about that one.
What an awful string of finals. Dude. Just awful.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to talk myself into like, well, in context, the first game was really good. Last night's game was really good for about 54 minutes. But no, this, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to, it's like better than it. I do think it is better than the NBA finals if you have to pick one like over the other, but I'm trying to like talk myself into this has been a great finals, and it's not even close. At the bottom of your screen, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics. I know John can't wait to get rid of us for the summer. Like look at him, the smile on his face. He is praying this is the last preview show. John, how you doing on a Friday, bro? Good to see you.
Hey, guys, come on. I mean, I probably talk to you more than most people in real life. So you can't get rid of me that easily. I mean, I'm gonna miss you guys. I mean, I probably did hit a stretch where this felt like a marathon for the playoffs, but like honestly, this just feels, I don't know, like a deflated conclusion at the rate we're going. Um, my other friends and I were like having a talk last night about the lack of excitement in both finals. Led us to thinking like, when's the last time both finals were this non-competitive? So I looked up when the last time both teams got swept in a final. Turns out it was 1995. You know who won that year? My New Jersey Devils.
Oh.
And it took a year where Michael Jordan took a break for half the season in the NBA.
Do you know what though? I hate to do this because I never want to show up a colleague of mine, but I think it was, are you talking about sweep? Like swept?
When both the Stanley Cup and the NBA ended in a sweep.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Never mind then. You're fine. I don't have to show you.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking.
I know there was one a few years after that for Stanley Cup, but like that's the last time it happened in the same year, supposedly.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was the next year, actually, 1996, when the Florida Panthers got swept. They got swept the next year against the Avalanche. Yeah, no, listen, like there's no way around it. This has been a really disappointing finals. I think last night just showed you what we've been saying all year about the Florida Panthers. I think that like this is just such classic cliche media speak, but like the margins are so thin in the NHL, especially in the playoffs, and especially in the Stanley Cup Finals, where you can't score on the power play, you can't score at all, period, and your head falls off your body for 6 minutes in a hockey game and it's over. Like maybe they were losing that game anyway, but that was a really tight competitive hockey game. Warren Foegele ties up the game like 5 minutes into the second period. Like to me, that game was right there for the taking. I didn't think that either team looked bad. I thought both teams looked really competitive. I think both teams were working hard. I thought that the Oilers had something going. You felt like once the Panthers went up 1-0, you felt like this could go bad just because of who's in the net, right? But when Warren Foegele scored that goal, it's okay. The game's tied. The barn's rocking. And that stretch of 6 minutes, I just couldn't believe what I saw. What was interesting to me though is like, yeah, I couldn't believe what I was watching. It's the Stanley Cup Finals. How do these things happen? But listen, Stuart Skinner and like Andre, you had some comments about the goals that he let in. I wasn't so much concerned about that because I thought that his defense failed him on all of those goals. But, he gives the puck away behind the net. We've been concerned about Stuart Skinner for a long time. I know that a giveaway is different than a goal, but his giveaway led to a goal. Then you have Darnell Nurse, who's just coughing up the puck literally right in front of the net. And then you have Bouchard, who, as much of an offensive star, like he is one of the best offensive defensemen in the game. Absolutely. Is he past like Makar and Quinn Hughes? I would say no, but he's that next level with those guys. He is an incredible offensive talent. The concern with Bouchard is on the defense, and we saw that, I think, on the third goal along the boards, I believe it was, or maybe the fourth goal. Yeah, I think it was fourth goal. Anyway, it doesn't matter. those cracks, like in the Stanley Cup Finals, the team that wins the Stanley Cup will expose those. And I have a couple more thoughts on this, but let's get into it with you guys. Andre, what did you see in that game last night? If you want to, you can just add kind of what you think is going to happen tomorrow night as well, or we can come back to whatever. You're a professional. What did you see in that game last night?
I mean, that 6-minute stretch just pretty much not only ended the series, but kind of defined the series. Oilers make a mistake, the Panthers pounce, and they take over. It's not that simple, but at the same time, it is that simple because they just serve the rest of the way. And I mean, it started. I'm not blaming the loss on Skinner. I'm not saying it's his fault. That second goal, the one that gave the Panthers the lead for good, that was him. That he couldn't stop the puck behind the net. And he was stuck directly behind the net. It's not like he was on either side by the time the rest of the skaters were in the play. He was directly behind middle of the net, so you have to go all the way around one way or the other to get back in. Puck was moving way too fast to stop it anyway, so you just kind of can't stop it, kind of abandons it, tries to scramble to get back in, but at that point you're giving the Panthers such a great look. And Tarasenko, it was an alley-oop essentially. I mean, he gets it right there. He has 3/4 of the net yawning, screaming his name.
Yep.
And he slams it home. It's 2-1. Obviously, with the way the Oilers have been struggling anyway, defensively, particularly Nurse and CC, they give up 2 more. A breakaway happens off it's like some type of broken play, and then someone sprung free, from the blue line. They kind of had started the whole thing. Was that Bennett? I think that was the Bennett one. Yeah, and then they pounced again, like you said, off the boards, off the forecheck. The Panthers hustle, and they force you into mistakes, and the Oilers haven't proven capable of keeping themselves alive through those mistakes. It's what it seems like. I do wonder, part of me now, if Dallas would have been a better matchup. Obviously, they didn't get there, so they don't deserve it. But I wonder if it's who the Oilers are playing more so than the difference between the teams. Because, I mean, the Oilers are a very good team. They were playing tremendous hockey before they got to this point. And the Panthers have made everyone look bad. So, I don't know. I'm just wondering what if, because it seems like this series is going to, the Panthers are going to make it back to Sunrise, and there's going to be tens of fans partying hard is what's basically about to happen. So I'm just curious. I wish we had gotten something better. It seems like the conference finals were the peak for these playoffs, and that's a shame.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because listen, I watched the ESPN on ABC feed, because we get that for the Stanley Cup Finals up here, and I was watching it, and they kept showing Amarant Bank. Is that how you pronounce it? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. They kept showing that arena and people losing their minds and going crazy at the watch party. Did you ever see a wide shot? Did you ever see the whole rink? Because I swear to you, every shot that I saw of that rink was literally a zoomed in section that was full. And all the other watch parties that you see, like the one that was at Madison Square Garden or Rogers Place or whatever, it's all zoomed out from the corner, right? And you see the whole rink, and this one is just zoomed in on this one section. I'm like, there's nobody there. This is classic. Nobody there. It's interesting what you say about Dallas, because listen, I'm not saying that the Oilers don't deserve to be there, because they do. I'm not saying that. In game 7, anything can happen. And Stuart Skinner had the game of his life. And so, like, let's not forget that game 7, like, or not game 7, sorry, game 6. So I know it wasn't a game 7, but game 6, which would have pushed it to a game 7, the Oilers had 10 shots on goal. And Stuart Skinner had the game of his life. Dallas controlled that entire hockey game apart for the first 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what hot goaltending does. Now, if the Stars win that game, goes to a game 7, the Oilers could absolutely have won that hockey game. I'm not saying that. But that game that they won to get to the Cup finals, they did not deserve to win, apart from Stuart Skinner having the best game of his career. So that is a very interesting point. I just think, like, what games 1 and 3 proved to me, like, the Oilers can play with these guys. They can. They're not better. They might not be able to win this series. If the series was tied 2-2, then they might not be able to win the series, or if Florida was up 2-1. But they can play with the Panthers. They just cannot make mistakes. Like, they don't have the luxury of those. Like, and if you do make a mistake, don't make it in your own end, like 10 feet away from the goal. Like, they don't have that luxury. So that was really interesting to watch. I was also looking at the score sheet, and we talk about the depth for the Oilers, right? We've been talking about that all playoffs long, about how only the big boys score. Well, look at the score sheet from last night. This is for Florida. You have Reinhart, which you called it, I believe, John. Reinhart finally broke through. You have Reinhart. You have Tarasenko, who's not a big boy for Florida, but he's a solid depth piece. You have Sam Bennett. You have Barkov. For Edmonton, you have Warren Fogle, who scored 20-plus goals. He's a decent player. You have Broberg and McLeod, and actually Fogle too, for that matter, all scored their second goals of the postseason. And it's not for lack of trying. Listen, McDavid, I thought, had a very good hockey game. I thought McDavid played really well. But when those three are your guys that are scoring, man, that's tough. John, what did you see from last night, and what do you see coming up on Saturday?
I see last night as the unofficial nail in the coffin. Yeah. Like, I don't think any team's ever come back from 3-0 in the Cup final, at least, or maybe one team has. Sorry,
it happened in 1942. It was the 40s for sure. I think it was 42 when my beloved Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, my beloved Toronto Maple Leafs came back against the Detroit Red Wings in the Stanley Cup final, down 3-0, came back. We hang our hat on that in the city. Great moment. Remember it clearly, 1942. That's the history that we have to lean on here in Toronto. Go ahead.
Well, it looks like the Oilers are going to have to hope they have a little bit of that magic from about 80 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I know the Oilers had a comeback at the end of the game, but if I'm being brutally honest, that was the worst game of the series for them. I think so, at least.
Really?
Yes, 100%. I think it was the sloppiest game I've seen them play in quite a while. Like, I think their mistakes cost them the game big time. They finally I'll give Edmonton this. They did get production from their lower level guys because none of their big boys scored in that stretch. And this is an interesting point, too, about them I'll get to later. But Edmonton, I felt like it was too little too late. I wasn't really that confident they would come back and win, even when they got it down to one goal. It's like Florida still containing essentially the important guys. And the Oilers were just playing incredibly sloppy, like especially with the first 3 goals. Because the first one, Barkov made a nice play with his stick to turn it over near the blue line, and he was able to break free to set up a goal. Second one, oh man, Skinner. That was the old Skinner we saw. Puck goes behind the nets. He can't even stop the puck. Lets it get past him. He can't get back in time, and he scores. And then the Nurse goal, forget it. I think the second and third goal were particularly bad because Nurse not only gave up the turnover, he got turned around when they passed it behind in the score.
It was bad. It was a bad look. And I know that he's not healthy, John, but he's been doing this all playoffs long. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, there was some discussion in some hockey groups that were saying, like, of course, it's easy to pick on Nurse now that, like, Nurse with his contract might not be looking the best at the moment after that highlight. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, and even the Barkov fourth goal, I don't think that was a great look for Edmonton either. They gave up a pretty easy opening there. I think my point is that, like, really, I don't even think Florida played good yesterday. I just think Edmonton played horrible. Like, their mistakes really added up, and it was just eventually too much to overcome. I didn't really think Edmonton made those kind of mistakes in the first two games, or at least not as many, but like every major mistake Edmonton made in that game yesterday cost them. Like it cost them a lot. I think you would argue if they make two less mistakes, particularly the Skinner and Nurse goals, they might win that game. They really might. Or they even if you take one of those off the board, maybe Edmonton wins in overtime. So I think Edmonton not playing discipline caught up to them. And there were hints and foreshadowing to this at the end of game two, or in the middle of game two, because Draisaitl had that hit on thankfully Barkov came back and played this game, but I think it would have taken a lot to take him out. Then at the end of game two, Edmonton was getting pretty chippy with Florida, so I think they started getting a little reckless, and it might have been an early sign that they were giving up the discipline a little bit out of desperation. And I think we saw that really cost them in game three. And I'll add one more point to something Andre said earlier about Florida making teams look a certain way. I know Edmonton got 3 goals last night, but the five biggest players on the team, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, and Bouchard, all do not have a goal in this series. All 5. Florida has shut them down. And I'll give Florida credit. They did something similar to the Rangers where they made it really difficult for them to score. And I'm noticing the same thing here with Edmonton. I know they got too late in the game, but like I swear in the first, I don't remember if the second goal for Edmonton was in the third period or not, but I think it was.
Yeah,
it was. So in the first 8 periods of this series for Edmonton, they scored a grand total of 2 goals. That's very concerning. Andre, I don't know if this makes you feel like justified as a Ranger fan for how tough Florida was, or this just frustrates you more to see the Rangers look better than Edmonton has in this series, in all honesty. But yeah, I mean, I think Florida's defense deserves a lot of credit. Bobrovsky's a big part of it too, obviously, and I think he's basically a lock for the Conn Smythe. But yeah, I think Florida has really. I think Florida's better at shutting teams down than we gave them credit for early in the playoffs, because they were facing Boston in the second round, which we all thought was dead in the water. And Tampa Bay, I don't think is a team we thought could keep up defensively with Florida. So, like,
I thought Tampa was going to win that series, to be honest. I thought Tampa was going to win that series.
Yeah, me too.
At the beginning of the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should have looked at that Tampa series with how easily Florida shut them down as a sign of things to come a little more than we did. But, yeah, I think Florida is showing what a complete effort looks like, in all honesty. And they made a mistake, too. Don't get me wrong. That first goal by Fogle, that was a big Florida mistake. Easy breakaway from him. And Ferraro called it out with Sam Bennett missing his guy there. But
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, Florida just made less mistakes and had a more well-rounded and disciplined effort than Edmonton did.
Well, and Florida makes a mistake, they get burned on it, and then they fix it. Right? That's the difference. Like with the Oilers, like I get what the only reason why I disagree with you on that was their worst game is because all of the faux pas that you mentioned were all in 6 minutes. Like that was a 6-minute stretch of hockey where their heads just fell off their bodies. And listen, I know that goal on Skinner, you're talking about the second goal. I know it was bad. I know. But you don't have Bobrovsky back there. Okay? You don't have Patrick Waugh or Cujo or Ed Belfour, Martin Brodeur. Like Stuart Skinner is a good goalie, but he's not like you cannot give the Panthers or any opponent opportunities like that. Or Skinner's like 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he should have stopped that puck. But you know who you have back there. Like, you can't be playing like you have like Dominic Hasek behind the pipes because you don't. And you got to be like way better than that. I don't know. It's and like you're talking about like all 4 of those goals were all based on Edmonton mistakes. All 4 of them. And it wasn't that the Panthers were like, you know, fighting for space or fighting for position and, you know, scored a good goal or got a lucky bounce. Like all 4 of those goals were because the Oilers defensively had like mental lapses, right? And I think that's what bothers you more. Like if the Panthers sweep you, they sweep you, tip your hats. But when you know that you could have prevented a lot of those goals, that's what makes things kind of sting a little bit more. All right, let's go around the horn really quickly here. Andre, what do you see in tomorrow night's game? I'll quickly throw out the odds. We have the Florida Panthers it was plus 102. It is now minus 102. The Panthers. There we go. Minus 102. Edmonton is now minus 118. I could have fixed that both at the same time, but I didn't. But it is what it is. Florida Panthers minus 102. Edmonton Oilers minus 118. The over is 5.5 at plus 100. The under is 5.5 at minus 120. Plus 1.5 for the Panthers is minus 265. Minus 1.5 for the Oilers is plus 215. Andre, let's start with you, man. We'll go around. What do you see in this game tomorrow night? Do the Oilers pull it out? Do we get a talk one more time?
I see the Oilers scoring a power play goal in the third period.
Oh,
to cut Florida's lead down to 1. The Panthers are going to win. I'm not doing this again. Are you kidding me? Should have been my best bet yesterday. I got a little too cute. As much as I like the Oilers to not score 3 or more goals again, I'm just going to take the Panthers money line as my best bet. They're winning this series. They're the better team. Still great odds. I know a sweep is tough, but at the same time, the Oilers look like they have nothing. And the Panthers look like they can go an extra 120 minutes every night if they needed to. So,
yeah.
Give me the Panthers. Just misery. Just be done with it.
John, what about you, man? What do you see tomorrow night?
I'm with Andre. I think this is over. Honestly, I'm not seeing a lot of encouraging signs from Edmonton. I think the fact that they have shut down their top 5 guys from the Oilers when they're really the guys when they're getting production from their lower lines, it's like Florida's maybe loosening up on them, but they're playing extremely tight on the Stars. And it's like, fine, you can have a couple, but you're still not going to beat us. That's just kind of how I feel at this point. And I don't trust Skinner nearly as much as Bob, and I think that's making a big difference in this series. Not that everything is on Skinner, but Bob is just playing near perfect. I don't think Skinner's capable of that. Like, he'll probably let up at least one a game that he should have had, something like that. Whereas Bob, I don't think he'll let up a goal like that in this entire series. So, unfortunately, around even money, I am compelled to agree with Andre and bet the Panthers. The over is kind of interesting as well. And Mark, I think he called this in game 3. The shots on goal might be better than picking a goal scorer at this point, at least on Edmonton's side of things, because your McDavid one hit. And
in the first period it hit.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hyman's over 3.5 even money. That's interesting. McDavid looks good again. I can't imagine him not getting some shots. Bouchard's an interesting one, too. I think he's plus 135 for over 3.5. So
he has 6 shots last night.
Yeah, so I think one of those guys on Edmonton might be a good bet. I mean, I would probably just keep pounding McDavid personally if I had to choose one.
Yeah.
But Hyman and Bouchard are like not terrible options either. So I guess if you're looking for a prop, I think Mark hit it a day early yesterday and was right. So I kind of see that being what it is, because it's knowing that 5 of their best players have not scored a goal is making me. I thought they would get over it eventually, McDavid in particular, but it's just making me really hard to trust them with goal scorer props. So I might have to resort to the shots on goal thing myself. I think Florida wraps it up though.
Well, you look at the stat sheet, and I don't have it in front of me, but I was looking at it last night as I was writing my recap for TotalApexSports.com. Go check it out. You heard it here first. I was looking at it last night, and like Hyman 3 shots, Draisaitl 3 shots. But do you guys really ever remember those guys in that game last night? Like, I don't really remember Hyman being talked about or being called on. Like, I thought McDavid, like, he got 6 shots on net, or 5 or 6. But you noticed when he had the puck, like, he was fast, he was dancing around. It all, like, ultimately didn't matter. But I think he's been the best looking player of the series. If you're just focused on the way he's moving, like, he looks really, really good. And, you know, Bouchard on the back end just letting bombs go. But like Draisaitl and Hyman, dude, like, I can't remember their names being called last night. You know what I mean? And so they're sitting at that like 3 shot mark. I wouldn't touch the Hyman over 3.5 just because it's been like 3s all way along, and I'm not really seeing him contribute that much offensively. I do think Connor McDavid, absolutely. Bouchard, absolutely. The Oilers have one trick up their sleeve. If they do this one thing, they will come back and they will win the Stanley Cup in 7 games. That is cut Corey Perry and send him out of the country. Did you know that if they lose this series, which they probably will, he will have lost 4 of the last 5 Stanley Cup finals? Which is actually pretty remarkable that he's been to 4 or 5. That's actually like, that's nothing to, you know, look down at. But I think he's the problem. I think he's the reason why all these teams lose the Stanley Cup. Corey Perry is a cancer and should be disposed of immediately. So cut him, get him out of the country, and you're going to come back. He's the curse. Corey Perry is the curse, and you can lift it. No, listen, I do think, I don't know. Can the Oilers not win one game in this series? Like, can they not get one game? I'm probably going to bet shot totals. I'm not going to bet a side here. I think you both are probably right that the Panthers do finish this off tomorrow night, but I would have to think the Oilers can get at least one. So I'm going to stay away from the side, but I'll take those shot props all day long. All right. For potentially the last time of the 2023-24 season, let's do our best bets. Brought to you by our friends, our partners at First Round Collectibles. It's been a pleasure. I feel like I'm reading an obituary right now. Just a reminder, we're getting all sentimental and whatnot. We will be on once a week throughout the summer to bring hockey news to you. What day of the week, what time, all of that we haven't decided, but stay tuned on YouTube and Twitter. We will be on once a week to talk about the NHL. So stick with us throughout the summer, and we'll be back full time in the fall. First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict for 10% off regular price and sales price items. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. John, you have the honors.
Oh, man.
The last time you can give us our first best bet.
Will this be the last time? I think that's the real question. I'm leaning towards for this season, yes. Unfortunately for Edmonton there. But I think I'm going to go the shots on goal routes. And I kind of like the Bouchard one personally. Plus 135 is pretty good value.
Yep.
I feel like he can get I feel like he can get 4 shots on goal. I'm not 100% confident in that, but the truth is there's nothing in this game I really love from a betting perspective. Maybe it's just because Edmonton's slowly deflating me when it comes to hockey this final, but I guess I don't know if I believe they'll score, but I believe they'll come out trying to swing, but
sure,
potentially missing. So I don't know. Give me Bouchard over 3.5, I guess.
That was so compelling. I guess.
I wish I could be more confident in this for potentially the last game, but I'm just not.
Oh, no, dude. I think Bouchard and McDavid shot props are locks tomorrow. I really do, man. Just like I did last night. They're not going to go down like they might have 6 minutes of defensive miscues again. That's absolutely possible, but they're not going to lose tomorrow night shooting only 15 shots on goal. You know what I mean? Like they're going to put up a fight. Andre, what about you, bro? What you got as your best bet?
In 1921, Casey Stengel told his Toledo Mud Hens, "Hey, I've got a tip on the market for you fellas. Buy Pennsylvania Railroad because by tomorrow night, about a dozen of you bums will be on it, riding in all directions." Now, obviously, in Edmonton, it would be Capital Line or Metro Line, but that doesn't flow as nicely. The point remains the same, though. 18 skaters are going to be sad in that locker room tomorrow night for the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers minus 102.
Did you just close that big book? It feels like you were like reading like scripture. You were
it's a massive book. You want to
the book of Andre.
It's a pretty thick book. Oh
yeah, Andre chapter 1. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm gonna follow John's path here, which I really scares me to even say those words out loud. But Connor McDavid over 3.5 shots is minus 120. It hit last night within like 15 minutes. I think it hits again tomorrow night relatively early. Listen, we've been talking about the lack of depth all year long. Well, guess what? Now the big boys have disappeared too. Everybody except for Connor McDavid. If they had any shot at all, then he's going to have to get like 7, 8, 9 shots on net. I would honestly consider his alternate totals like high. Like I think 8+ shots is plus 1,000 for him tomorrow night. Like 5+ is plus 190, 6+ is plus 425, 7+ plus 700. I'm telling you, he had 6 last night. That's plus 425 tomorrow. He's gonna shoot the lights out tomorrow night. He's gonna shoot from everywhere, everything. Give me the over 3.5 at minus 120. But I would recommend all the alternates. Do a ladder, honestly. $10 on 5+, $10 on 6+, $10 on 7+, $10 on 8+. That's $40. And if you hit on the 6+, then you get your money back. So, you know what I mean? I like Connor McDavid over 3.5 minus 120. Win or lose.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the rest of Edmonton's stars here, just real quick. That's what Florida's been doing all postseason, though. Kucherov didn't score a goal against them. I don't think Pastrnak.
Great point.
Panarin scored 1. Draisaitl has none in this series. McDavid has none in this series. So, I mean, and you talk about that list, that's easily 5 of the 10 best skaters in the world. So, I mean.
Well, and sorry, Andre, just to add to your point, wasn't that one Panarin goal like in like the last minute of Game 6? Like, wasn't that goal like
90 seconds left?
Yeah, exactly.
It almost doesn't count.
Yeah, you're like a minute away from Panarin not even scoring.
Yeah, exactly. They've just shut everybody down. And McDavid, he's been good enough to still get his opportunities. Just hasn't found the back of the net yet. I honestly feel like he might score Game 4, but that's none of our best bets. Instead, we have Bouchard over 3.5 shots on goal at plus 135, Connor McDavid over 3.5 shots on goal at minus 120, and the Florida Panthers money line currently at minus 102. 3-leg same game parlay plus 750 odds.
Plus 750. Well, listen, guys, I am pulling for an Edmonton win tomorrow night. I want to keep talking hockey. I want to keep watching hockey. I just want some drama. Like, I'm fine if Edmonton like loses. I went on my stupid rant yesterday about how I don't care if the cup comes back to Canada unless it's on the shoulders of my Toronto Maple Leafs. That being said, I just want some drama. Like, I just want to watch some compelling hockey. And if the Oilers do lose tomorrow, then at least lose in like double overtime. Like, make me stay up until 2 a.m. Please. Like, just give me something to like sweat about. Like, for the love of God. All right. Moving on, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, whether it's live or throughout the day. We appreciate you. Whether they win or lose tomorrow night, we will do a recap show on Monday morning. So we'll be back at least one more time before our one weekly appearance throughout the summer. Have a great weekend. Like, subscribe, firstruncollectibles.com, promo code SportsAddict for 10% off every card in the store. Have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.